On behalf of the family, I'd like to thank everyone for coming to celebrate Joe's life. We're going to begin the service with a song, Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds, followed by a service by Pastor Martha. Thank you.
To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this service celebrating the life of Joe Weisbrod. I am the Reverend Martha Knack, more commonly known as Martha. I recently retired from chaplaincy at Oakwood Village Retirement Community in Madison, where Tracy and I became colleagues and good friends. Although I've only met a number of you family members, I feel like I've known you for a long while, though, through Tracy. And I'm honored to be with you during this sacred time. Before we begin our service, as Joe would desire, I would like to thank all Vietnam vets, especially his classmates who served. You are not forgotten, and your sacrifices are appreciated. Thank you. Let us be in an attitude of reverence. May compassion and love be our every breath. May our lives be examples for those we love and those who merely pass by us as we walk our journeys. We all surrender the breath of life. May this time of passage be peaceful and full of the kindness and caring for which we strive. May Joe be embraced in the circle of love and caring of the universal, of that which we cannot fully know or understand, of that which underlies us all. So may it be. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust in each other and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, The pain of separation seems more than we can bear. But love and understanding can help us pass through the darkness toward the light. Out of affliction, the psalmist learned the love of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silence in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wished to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. Let us pray. Everlasting God, when life fails and death draws near, we turn in confidence to you. Each memory of Joe is a special gift from your hand, a treasure we can spend again and again. Thank you for the wonders of words and deeds shared in simple truth, in simple ways, through 2 swift days. Empower us now with your grace that we live faithfully in your presence until our life fails and death conquered, and at your command leads us from life to life eternal. Amen. Now we will move into a time of some shared eulogies. And first I would like to invite Joe's brother, John, to come forward. And I haven't had a chance to greet you, but I think that's you. Come on forward. Oh, no, I'm looking that way and he's over here.
That's fine.
Hi, John.
Thank you,
My sympathies
Reverend
and
Martha, for your kind words and thoughtful introduction to our most special service. So, dear friends and family, as we gather to continue to celebrate Joe's legacy of love, please welcome the solace and peace that we secure from being together here today. Love you, bro. That was Joe's usual sign-off when we ended one of our many phone conversations over the years. 8 years younger, I looked up to my big brother. For years, we shared a bedroom that was no larger than my daughter's walk-in closet. As a second grade schooler, I would fall asleep and wonder at how Joe would work his slide rule. And more than once I awakened to have Joe gleefully share tales of my sleepwalking. As I grew older, Joe encouraged me to think big, and he gave me the confidence to achieve. Taught me how to drive a car, and he made sure I had a motorcycle before I was 16. He did the same for my son, Jake, years later. My current financial security was due to his hands-on coaching early in my teaching career. When I married Kathy, he embraced her as a sister and he reveled in her intellect. Joe always made my family feel loved and appreciated. Watching Joe build airplanes over the years was mind-bending for me, but seeing him fly aerobatics was over the top. I recall an air show Joe put on in his bright yellow cassock at a Rozek family reunion in Polonia. His aerial performance that day left everyone, even some who couldn't bear to watch it all, awestruck. On the ground, at such spectacles, I would swell with pride and acknowledge with celebrity status that that was my brother flying up there in that airplane. Joe's work-related travels piqued his interest in regional cuisines, which he enthusiastically prepared back home for family and friends. Being invited over to Joe and Mary Ann's house for dinner was an evening my family looked forward to, and it never disappointed. The atmosphere, the conversation, the high-quality food, all will never be equaled at any fine restaurant. I have so many more Joe stories to tell. Stories ranging from tree planting to chainsawing, electricity flowing like water to the joys of owning an old beater, reflections of the hand of God in nature to the challenges of growing up in the 60s. None of my siblings will be offended as I proclaim Joe as my favorite brother. Nancy grew up with Joe, always looking out for her best interests. Dory understood Joe's kindness and patience as he spent hours teaching friends and family how to water ski at Lake Helen. And Joe affectionately named Barb Porky as a shout out to her incredible appetite and metabolism. We look forward to sharing and hearing more Joe stories. It will be our collective sharing and love that will bring us comfort and keep Joe's spirit alive. Mom and Dad were so proud of Joe and his accomplishments. His early love for flying was fostered by my father being an airplane mechanic. As a young boy, Joe hid in the back seat of Clarence's car as he headed off to work at the airport. Arriving at the airport, my dad discovered Joe with not enough time to return him home, and Joe spent the rest of the day in wonder at the miracle of flight. Years later, Joe paid for flying lessons by pumping gas at that same airport, earning his pilot's license when he was still a teenager. Mom and Dad's pride in Joe exploded when he met and married his soulmate, Mary Ann. Joe's legacy of love continues to shine brightly in his children Eric, Kara, Tracy, their spouses, and their amazing families. Today it can feel especially challenging to celebrate a life that we wish were longer. I know that Joe's positive influence resides in each and every one of us. And I know that Joe would be humbled that we are gathered here today. Joe is always with me. I cherish keeping my big brother's spirit vibrant and alive with our sharing this day and in the future. Love you, bro.
Thank you, Uncle John. It's going to be a tough act to follow. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric. I'm Joe's son. And before I get started, I just want to tell you that if I somehow make it through this without crying, it's only because I spent a lot of tears practicing. Also, I'm using some humor here. So if there's something that tickles your funny bone, please laugh. It's difficult to sum up our dad in just a few words. And even when you use as many as I'm about to use, you'll still be leaving things out. Our dad was accomplished, both professionally and in his personal interests. This is probably what most people think of, the hardworking engineer type, the airplanes he built, his patents, his problem-solving abilities. Our dad was a brilliant technical mind. I can't think of a single other person I know that in the middle of dinner I could ask, "Hey Dad, what's a desmodromic valve train?" and to which he answered without even pausing to think. And for those of you that are wondering, a desmodromic valve train is one that doesn't rely on spring force to close the valves, but uses another set of cams instead. My dad had an unnatural ability to absorb things from reading, and reading things only once. He had a much greater than average knowledge of most things and could converse intelligently with anyone on just about any topic. As John mentioned, our dad was a seeker of unique cuisines. He brought us etouffee, Cajun fish fries, fried green tomatoes, hush puppies, deep fried turkey, deep fried lettuce. And as I assembled this list, I said deep fried appeared in that list a lot. Our dad was a dreamer. He was a deep thinker and had a particular knack for problem solving. When I was in graduate school, the other grad students were impressed with some of my practical knowledge of things, all of which, of course, I had gotten from my dad. It resulted him in actually attaining, I'm going to say, proper noun status in the lab as the Joe Weisbrod. When it was time for my thesis defense, they were actually excited to finally meet the man, the myth, the legend. And to this day, I will contend that there are PhDs scattered around the globe that will recall the Joe Weisbrod. People will generally speak of what they learned from their dad. It may be hard work. It may be compassion for others. It may be self-reliance. And I am forever indebted to my dad for all of the things that I've learned from him. Though I've given a lot of thought into, if I could narrow it down to one thing, what would it be? I've learned many facts, principles, and practices from him directly, but we also learn by observing others and not just learning from their words. And so my dad never spoke directly of commitment, but that is what I learned from watching my dad. Commitment to family, commitment to friends, commitment to work, commitment to projects, commitment to learning, commitment to getting things done. You know, he had an encyclopedic knowledge of the topography of Lake Helen because he had a son that couldn't stop water skiing and he just wouldn't say no. You know, and he built a zip line in our backyard. I have a master's degree in mechanical engineering, and I still scratch my head as to how he did that. I remember there was a car and pulling on a line for tension and a pipe pounded into the ground that held it all together. It never loosened, it never broke. I'll never know how he did it. Upon further reflection over the years, I've also recognized the impact that relationships had on Dad. Dad and Mom provided a childhood that I wouldn't trade for anything. Their relationships with the Weisbrod and Shafransky siblings and extended family gave us a family dynamic that took me decades to appreciate and just understand how unique it is. Of course, much of that stemmed from Grandma and Grandpa, and that's a whole other separate tear-filled conversation. So to my aunts, my uncles, cousins, and niece, no nephews yet, we don't see each other as often as I'd like, but I know I can call on any of you at any time, and I hope you feel the same. To Dad's friends, you were such an important part of his life, his interests, and his character. Jim Tushka, John Van Wagenen, his aviation pursuits wouldn't have been fulfilled without you. Sorry. My point in all of this is to express my gratitude for the roles that you've all played in Dad's life. We are all a product of the sum of our experiences, and if someone is highly regarded, as my dad is, that means they also surrounded themselves with great people. There are many things to miss with Dad, and for me, the biggest will be the conversations we won't be able to have. He always liked to talk technology, science, politics, philosophize on many topics, and just plain old dream and scheme. Every single day, I think of something I'd like to talk about with Dad. I'm going to close this out the way that Dad would have wanted it closed out, as it's how we tried to close every conversation, and that's with a joke. Many of you told me that today. Dad always had a joke. As you may or may not know, I work for a software company, and our software is about statistics, so that seemed like a fitting topic for a joke. Now, I had a joke lined up about how two engineers thought they could use a binomial distribution to represent data that clearly required a Poisson distribution. But that joke kills in some rooms, and maybe it's only in one very specific and very small room. So instead, two friends are going deer hunting, and they decide to bring their statistician friend. And now the statistician has never been deer hunting before, so he wants to see how it goes. Now, very quickly, they see a deer, and they both draw their rifles and they fire. Now, the first person misses by a foot to the left, and the other guy misses by a foot to the right, at which point the statistician jumps up and says, "Got him." Thank you for taking your time to show your appreciation for my dad.
The song we are going to sing right now is dedicated to Joe from Mary Ann. Through trials, good time and bad, they were always there for each other. They were each other's amazing grace.
When I get down, when I get blue, it's then that I think about you. You are my heart, you are my soul. It is this I want you to know. You were my amazing grace, there for me. Anytime, any place, when life gets tough and the road gets rough, I want you to know you were my amazing grace. When times were hard, we shed our tears, and together we faced our fears. And when there seemed to be no end, time would allow our hearts to mend. And when I thought there was no hope, you were there to toss me the rope. You pulled me in, you lifted me. In times like these that I can see you were my amazing grace, there for me. Anytime, any place, when life gets tough and the road gets rough, I want you to know you are my amazing grace. You are my amazing grace, there for me. Anytime, any place, when life gets tough and the road gets rough, I want you to know you're my amazing grace. You are my heart, you are my soul. These are the things I want you to know.
Oh my goodness, this is what it looks like when everybody's seated. What a gathering today. I see so many members of our family, extended family, friends, classmates, colleagues, Lake Helen neighbors, pilots. And Joe thought he would be lucky to have 20 people present for any type of memorial service for him. Thank you. My amazing Joe. In recent years, Joe would delight in telling people how he and I met. It went something like this. Mary Ann and I met in the hospital. Oh no, was the typical reaction. And he'd say, oh, it's all good. We met as infants because we both were born in the same hospital in the month of March. That is true. But in 1950, moms and newborns spent 7 days under receiving a lot of TLC, and there was a 10-day difference between Joe's birth and mine. So no way did we ever meet at St. Michael's Hospital. But this is how it really happened. Joe and I both attended parochial high schools in Stevens Point. He, the all-boys school, and I, the all-girls. I had heard about Joe during high school years. I learned that he was a diligent student and he displayed leadership. He was involved in extracurriculars that his high school offered, and he had a motorcycle. At the beginning of our senior year, well into the month of September, out of the blue, I received a call from Joe inviting me to be his date for the 1967 Pacelli High School homecoming dance. I accepted. Well, we had a couple of casual encounters prior to that, and then we had our big date. And after that date, our relationship commenced. We were on the road together through dating and engagement and finally marriage. Our road sometimes took us sideways, and there were bumps along the way, some quite significant, but by far, our road together in this life offered the very best of times. Joe and I welcomed 3 beautiful children into our world, and they grew, and as adults expanded our family with their wonderful spouses in marriage order, Tanya, Tyler, and Patrick. And not too long after that, we were gifted with 3 sweet grandchildren in birth order, Hannah, Emily, and Jacob. I'm sure they'd like me to mention the pups and kittens and horse that are so a part of the family. I wouldn't have changed a thing along this life road. I am blessed and so very glad I accepted the invitation from a witty, loving, sincere young man decades ago. Love you, Joseph.
Thank you, all of you, for your wonderful, heartfelt words. Yeah. And now a litany to draw these precious memories of a life well lived together. For having known him, and will keep this feeling in our hearts all the days of our lives. May Joe rest in the perfect peace and rest of God's sheltering presence. Amen. Tracy and Kara.
A poem by Joyce Grenfell. If I should go before the rest of you, break not a flower nor inscribe a stone, nor when I'm gone speak in a Sunday voice, but be the usual selves that I have known. Weep if you must, parting is hell, but life goes on, so sing as well.
This poem captures Dad's sense of humor and levity, which reminds us of a song he would sing. Our dad would sing, "Oh, what a beautiful morning," and the feeling I get when I think about those memories is the feeling of happiness and a little of an, "Oh, Dad," feeling. Thinking back, Dad wasn't singing to us, but rather to himself. Dad would sing this song on a nice summer morning and work on the yard or on his airplane. Then in the late afternoon, he would take us swimming at Sunset Lake or Lake Helen before dinner. Dad always thought of himself as a serious person, so I think it is so sweet he would sing this song as though he were in a play with gusto, loud and proud. This song reminds me of all the beautiful days he had, and I believe he truly was grateful for all of them. So please go and make it a wonderful day.
There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn as high as an elephant's eye. And it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going my